Hello everyone and welcome to a little test playthrough on the channel for Final Girls. I've only played this once off camera, so don't take this as any kind of like how to play or anything like that. We will have a quick overview to start with, just because I find, as I notice a couple of my dog's hairs, I find that helps introduce my normal viewers who might not be familiar with the game just to be able to follow along a little bit better. But yeah, don't take this as a how to play. This is me learning and learning with you if you want to learn as well. But Final Girl is, as the name might describe, you play as a final girl of your choice. You'll go up against a killer of your choice in a location of your choice, and you have to kill them before they kill you. There is other victims on the board, just represented by little meeples, but I have the miniature set, so we do actually have the killer that we're using today, Hans, represented by his miniatures, and he will appear on the board up here, which is the main play area. And this is Laurie, the final girl, who I'll be playing as. So they sort of go together, and if you're starting to learn to play, Hans and Camp Happy Trails are the two best options, because Hans has no special rules. He's kind of like a Jason or a Michael Myers. He just murders. He doesn't have any other gimmick. He just walks after you. Sometimes he just stands there and hits you if you come after him. And then Camp Happy Trails is just your like Camp Crystal Lake. It's just a camp. So basic to start with. There is much more complicated stuff available for the game as well though, and primarily we'll be looking at these two boards up here, just because I want you to be able to see the play area more so. But we have a couple of things to cover real quick. I haven't done the full setup yet because the game is very modular and certain things are randomized, and I wanted to do those on camera just to show that I'm not, fudging the decks or anything. So down here, this board tracks our horror level. When you're going up against Hans, it starts at level 4, and you just use this red meeple here to indicate it. And the horror track determines how many dice you're rolling to see how well you succeed in skill checks. You start with 2, you can get up to 3, or you can go down to 1. You also get 6 time, which is represented by this hourglass, per turn. There's another dog hair as well. I set this up last night. How is there so many dog hairs on here? Oh well. You get 6 time per turn with which to spend cards, or you can bank your time or get rid of cards for more time in order to purchase better cards from, I believe the official term is the tableau. I'm just going to call it the shop because I think that eases people in easier. But you start with a hand of 6 cards that, if they were in the shop, cost 0, as indicated by the bottom right, and they do different things depending on whether or not you get 2 successes, 1 success, or no success, but we can cover that as we play. We have our final girl card. If we rescue victims, which is not the priority, it's worth noting, the priority is the killer dies, so it's secondary, but we can put the little meeples on these spaces and you get the bonus listed. You fill every space, you flip the card over, you get a superpower, essentially. I don't think that'll happen, but so you'll notice that Laurie has 5 HP, but there's only 4 hearts here. That's because the final piece of health for both her and the killer is randomized from these markers. We'll explain it once we get to them, but I just wanted to make sure that the randomization is on camera. So we'll pick this one for Laurie, and let's pick this one for Hans, so that goes at the bottom of his track. So I probably won't show this on camera as much. This is also where you put items that go in your backpack, items that you're holding in your hands. Some items are two-handed, some items are one-handed, and you'll just have to trust that I'm trying to keep track of this. Obviously, if I'm talking and playing and whatnot, I might lose track every so often. I'll do my best, but I think it's more important you see the killer board and the map. So just quickly to show off one last thing before we start doing all the stuff that you randomise when you're playing a game of Final Girl. And I did forget to mention that you can mix and match Final Girl's locations, killers. They don't need to go together in the packs they come in. Like, you could do Hans at a different location, you could do a killer from another box at Camp Happy Trails. It is exceptionally modular, and a lot of stuff can change based on the setup you're using, the events you get, etc. It has a lot of playability. But this is what the shop looks like. There's 2 of some cards, there's 1s of others, but these are the ones here, and their time cost to purchase is listed in the bottom right. So for instance, Improvise down here would cost 3. And you've got super expensive ones like Long Rest, Critical Blow, costing 5 and 6 respectively. And you've got cheap ones that are for rerolls called Close Calls, a Furious Strike for 4. You've got 2 defensive cards. I think there's 2 guards, 1 retaliate, yeah. And then you can move faster if you buy sprints and whatnot, but that's only if you end a turn with time left to plan. So it isn't always best to go through your entire time, but sometimes dice results are just going to make that happen. Also, the dice for this game, incidentally, are massive. Those are chunky dice. A 1 or a 2 is a blank, which means it's just an outright fail. 3 and a 4 have a double card symbol, that means it counts as success if you get rid of 2 cards. And a 5 and a 6 have stars, they count as successes. So Hans has 12 HP. I don't remember if I was specific with how much HP he has. He's a very chunky lad. You randomise a top card and a lower card that you saw me moving around to clean earlier to get the dog hairs off. This is his minor dart power that's randomised on the bottom card of him, and the top card is the finale card, and that's related to running out of cards in the terror deck, which is one of the things we're going to set up now. But let's start with the most basic thing. We have to pick a setup for the adventure, the film today, so I'm just going to quickly shuffle these. I hope I get the setup I played in my test game, because it had exactly one person in Make Out Point, and I actually said out loud, oh, what a shame he got dumped. It's going to be Treasure Hunt. Oh, it is the same one. So this shows you where there is victims. That's all the numbers. Shows you where the final girl starts, and then also where the killer starts. So I will set that up in between takes. That's just one part we need to do. Then we have the terror deck. You get a set of terror cards unique to the killer. You get a set of terror cards unique to the location you picked. You put them all together in a huge deck. You give them a shuffle, which you'll just have to trust I'm doing off camera right now. And then you draw 10, and that's your terror deck. Don't look at them though. Or look at the ones that you've... I just dropped one there, so I'll shuffle them again real quick. I just dropped another one. There. Okay. We're good. But don't look at what's not included either. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And these happen at the end of the turn after the killer acts. And again, it can be something that fits the theme of the location you're in, or the killer. It's more likely to be the killer. I'm just going to put those cards to the right of this board here. So that's the unused ones. I'm just putting them off to one side because they're not used for this game. And you can tell what's from what because they've all got like themed icons. So that's done. Next we need items. All the items for the location in a big deck. I'm going to give them a shuffle, and then you do 3 piles of 4 cards specifically for Camp Happy Trails. I believe it is different in some ones, and they go in, or you can search for them by going to one of the locations with a spanner. So for instance, the cabin's up here, there's docks down here that you can just about see, and the utility shed off to the top right. So we're just gonna move these cards out of the way that just say there's no rules for hands, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. I'll sort these off camera to make them neater, and then the final card of each is going to get flipped so we know what's there. There's a map, there is Lucky Rabbit's Foot, and First Aid. Unused cards go to one side. Simple as that. I think that's it except the event. I'll do the event once we're actually ready to play. So we know the final girl is starting there and the killer is starting there, but I have to go get the victims. So that is all the victims set up. I decided to lay them flat because I think it gives a better impression of how many are in each location, but you are really supposed to have them like, oh, you know what, from that angle maybe they should be standing up, although I'm liable to knock them over. But that is all the victims on the map. I forgot to mention, but the final girl can save them by escorting them to a green exit zone. So there's one there, one there, one there. If they happen to randomise themselves onto one of those locations, they will not escape by themselves. They're too stupid. The final girl has to come and tell them to get out. So that's the only way she's going to get her bonuses. So there we are. One last thing to do. We draw an event card to see what applies. Just going to shuffle these off camera real quick. Okay, there we go. And our event is going to be Vengeance. What's this? Let's see. The victim farthest from the killer is now the damned. Whenever the killer must choose a target, the damned is chosen instead. The damned can only be saved if it is the last victim alive. If he dies, the killer gains +2 bloodlust, which is the track you can sort of see here. It makes him do more damage, move further, and raises horror. Okay, so the killer, the victim farthest from the killer would be one of these two. So one of those actually goes away and becomes the damned, which is an orange meeple right there. And anything that says the killer is targeting victims, which is usually either or, but you prioritize victims unless the final girl is the last one left alive. Yeah, you must target the victim. Yeah, okay, or the damned. Sorry. So he's gonna. That might be good. That might buy us time because Hans has started so far away from him. It's going to take a while to get over there. I think we're ready to start our first turn. Alright, so we jump into the first phase of the game, which is the action phase, i.e. I play cards at the cost of time to try and do stuff. Then we go to the planning phase, where I spend unused time to buy cards. Then any used cards in the turn go into the shop after that phase, which means although yes, you'll get your free cards back for the total cost of free, because they don't go back in until after your buying phase, there's essentially a turn to wait before you get them back, so you have to be a little careful with that. Then the killer goes, then there might be a panic phase depending on if there's other victims on the tile that have seen or heard someone die. And then it is the upkeep phase where just some stuff gets done, like you put yourself back up to 6 time, etc. We're going to start with a simple card. We're going to try and walk. It's not very shiny. So this could cost 2 time if it goes very badly. So because of where the horror track is, we're rolling 2 dice. I'm just going to move the other dice out of the way, and we'll go over what that means depending on what I roll. So I got 1 success and 1 utter failure, with 1 success for the cost of 1 time, which is what the red hourglass means. I can move 1 space. I'm going to move to this victim here. When the final girl moves, she can take up to 2 victims with her. That card is now discarded, so I'm just going to flip it over to know that I've spent it. It does not go back in the shop yet though, until after I've had a chance to buy. Oh, and of course it costs 1 time, so I've got 5 left for the turn. We're going to walk again. I want to try and get 2 victims out super quick. So there's the other walk card you start with. So I got 2 conditional successes. So I'd have to get rid of 4 cards if I wanted to move twice. I don't want to do that, so I shall get rid of a weak attack and a short rest. So I'm discarding these. They go in the discard pile. To count as 1 success, lose 1 time, move 1 space, and I'm taking this victim with me. So now next turn, I'll buy some sprints and take them to the closest exit away from the killer, which is in the bottom left. So I've ended my turn with 2. Actually, I might as well use a focus and keep another focus for next turn, because that used another time, so we're down to 3. Oh, no, we're down to 4, sorry. Yeah, I'll use 1 focus card. This is to bring down horror and potentially give us more time if we get a nice result. If we get a bad result, I'm just going to ignore it. Yeah. Okay, well sadly, I'm just going to lose 2 time for that. Count it as a failure, which means we're ending the turn with a grand total of 2 time left over. So I was going to do cuts to get to the shop, but when we only have 2 time, it's not really going to matter. The only card I'm going to buy for 2 time is I'm buying a sprint. Single sprint, it costs 2. Then I'm done with my buying phase, which means I only have 2 cards in my hand for next turn, which means it's going to be a very quick turn. But the cards I've now spent go into the shop now that my buying phase is over, and those free ones will all just come back, so I'm just putting them up there. That's my turn. Then we would do the killer phase. So Hans, when he starts off pretty weak in the sense that his default action, which you can just about make out up here on the top left of his card, he targets either the final girl or the victim. He targets the victim first, and he'll hit them, but he doesn't move. So he's stuck there. He's just twiddling his thumbs in the marshland over here. So his turn is over. He'll draw a terror card and resolve that instead. He just came out of nowhere. That's not good. Place hands with the furthest target possible. That's the vengeance target. You read cards from top to bottom, incidentally. So he materializes, he teleports, Jason style, over to the cabins. That hockey mask symbol means you raise horror level, so we're up to 5. If it gets to 7, I'm rolling a single die. And then you draw the next terror card. That is not good, because the faster you get through these 10 cards, you get to the finale and it becomes super powerful. You can't save us, no one can. If there are no victims, discard and draw the next card. No, there is victims. All victims in your space must panic twice. In my space. Oh no. Okay. Well, it's not going to save the people who are there regardless, but I've got 2. You roll a d6 and you send them across the numbers. You probably won't be able to make out the numbers, but just trust I'm doing it, so they're both the same. So 1 runs 4, which actually means they don't move, because you need a 2, 5 or a 6. And of course I got a 6, so one of them has ran back up there. Of course they did. Then the killer will attack either the final girl or a victim and kill them. So unfortunately, Mr. Vengeance is dead, which raises Hans' bloodlust by 1. He then targets victims and moves towards them. He doesn't need to move. There is 1 there. Now let me just check. When does the panic phase is after terror card? Yep, so the victim in his square will now panic because he saw his friend get murdered and is running to the 4, which is this way. So he's ran away, but not very far. And that's a turn. So now it all starts back over. I get 6 more time, and we try again. So this is going to be a very quick turn. I'm going to try and use a focus just to try and get some benefit out of it. Well, we've got 2 dice. Let's see. 2 conditional successes. Can't do anything with it. We have to just lose 2 time. That's not good. And then I'm just playing the sprint. That's the other card in my hand. We're going to try and play a sprint. We got one success. For one success I can move 2 spaces at the cost of 1 time. That's perfect. We're taking this victim with us. 1, taking this victim with us. To go 2, I just want to get these victims out. And that cost me 1 time. And that is it. That's my turn already. So we go back to the shop, and this is where the important bit happens. We'll just do it in editing again, or in camera. So all my free cards, they cost free. We can get them all back. You can't ever have more than 10 cards in your hand, it's worth pointing out. So that's me got 5 back. And for 3 time left over, I'll buy a close call, so I have a reroll card, because we might need it. And I'll buy a guard, because hands is close. Or will I buy a sprint? No, I'll buy a guard, because we just got both our walks back. So that is a very quick turn. The cards I just spent, the 2 of them, the sprint goes back where it should be, my free card just goes up there, and that's my turn. So Hans no longer has a target in his space, so he attacks no one. Then we draw the next terror card. Hans wants me, he's always wanted me. He targets the final girl, moves towards her twice and attacks. That's not good, because that means he's going to reach, and he's only targeting me. He currently moves 1 space. 1, 2. He actually made it. That's so bad. Well, I bought a guard card, so I'm going to have to use it, because he just attacked me for 1 damage. So I'm going to play the card. I wasn't expecting to have to roll dice, so that's why I zoomed in. So we roll 2. He would normally target a victim. This card specifies he's only after the final girl. A conditional and a success. I'll just take the success, reduce his damage by 2. He does no damage. Well, that could have gone better. Worth noting, the guard card does not cost any time to play because it's a reaction card, but it won't go back into the shop until after I've had the opportunity to spend again, because the putting cards back in phase happens before the killer phase. But it is my turn, and I really want to get these 2 to safety now, because otherwise Hans is just going to murder them. And that's bad for me as well for them. So I'm going to try and play a walk. Ideally we want a double success here, so I might have to use some rerolls. I got 2 failures, so we'll spend 2 time to use our close call to do full rerolls. Oh, come on. Well, I have to take I'm going to have to get rid of 2 cards. I'm not going to use weak attack, and I'm not injured, so I don't need short rest, so discarding those 2, and that lets us move 1 space. I can take 2 people with me. Victims will always follow you, but they'll never follow you if you're walking onto the square with the killer. I'm getting them here, which means they are instantly saved. So I can take them to Laurie's card and get 2 upgrades. I'm going to reduce the horror level by 1, so it's back down to where it started, at 4. So we'll just have to trust that I'm putting these on her card. And then I'll take gain 2 time. Yeah, because the close call cost us 2, the walk card cost us 1, so we're back up to 5 overall. Yeah, let's do that. And then to end my turn, I'm going to hold on to a walk card to try and get away from Hans. Next turn, I'm going to play focus and try and get more horror back. A conditional success that I can't use, so sadly we just lose the 2 time. That's not good. Oh, those all go away. I've got 1 walk card in my hand, but we have 3 time to spend. Come over here to the shop with 3 time to spend. Oh, we get a focus card back in terms of freebies, so I do have 2 cards. I'm going to buy a guard and a close call, because I'm going to get attacked almost certainly. So that's my purchasing done, so I'm just going to put the cards back. So there's the guard I already used, the close call I already used, and the rest are free cards. Yep. So they go up there. Hans no longer has anyone in his square, so he's not immediately going to murder them. So we just draw a terror card. He just keeps coming. I raised the horror level right back up to 5, first of all. Great. He moves towards the closest killer, the closest final girl or victim. He always prioritizes victims, and he kills them. Stab, stab, stab. So his bloodlust goes up. And because of where we've reached on his track, the horror level goes up. So it's up to 6 now. That's very dangerous. He's now doing 2 damage, but he's still only moving 1 space. And that is it for that turn. Well, this is going about as well as my off-camera game. I'm going to play a walk card, the only movement card I have. And we'll see what we can do with that. One success, I'll take that. So we would have been back up to 6 times, so we're down to 5, and I can move 1 space. We'll move right smack dab there. And then I'll just play a focus again to try and bring that horror level down, because I don't want to be only rolling 1 die because we'll get nothing done. Got 1 success, reduce the horror level at the cost of 1 time. I'll take that. So we're down to 4, horror level drop us back down to 5. I've got a guard and a close call in my hand. That's good enough for me, I think. So we've got 4 time. Come back over to the shop. All my free cards in here come to my hand, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I've got 6 cards in my hand and 4 to spend. I'm definitely buying a sprint for 2, and that leaves us with another 2. I'm going to buy we're very far away from searching you, but there's nothing else really that costs 2. I'll buy another sprint. We'll have or try to have a big movement turn. And then now that I'm done with my buying phase, those 2 free cards go in there. Hand says no one to murder instantly, so we just go straight to drawing the terror card. I think we're already halfway through this deck now. Oh no, he's got a minor dark power, so he's just got 2 ablative health that will have to come off the first time I damage him, and his movement speed is 1 additional, so that puts him at 2 currently. That goes at the top of his card here, and I'll need to look out 2 more hearts. You know what, I'll just use 2 of these, just to mark it. They don't do anything special for this. It's just 2 ablative health for him. On the plus side, he didn't kill anyone that turn. Alright, I've got a busy turn. I want to do a lot of movement this turn, so we're starting with our first sprint card. Let's go. Well, that is going to have to be a close call type situation. I'll spend 2 of my time in order to give full rerolls, so we're down to 4. Well, I was already at because I forgot to reset it. With the rerolls, we got 1 success, which would mean 2 spaces at the cost of 1 time. I will take that. And we're going to go 1, 2. I'm heading over to the docks to save those victims and do some searching next turn, is my plan. Let's see, I don't have a... I do have a normal walk card actually. Yeah, we'll just play a walk. I just need to walk 1 space. That's not too hard, is it? Perfect. 1 space at the cost of 1 time. I'm now with these 2 victims in the docks, and I've only got, what, 2 time left? I can't really afford to play any other cards as a result, because I can't afford to lose any time. So, yeah, I'll call that good. We end the turn with 2 time. Come over here. I get a free focus and walk back, and I'm buying a search. Search card down here for 2. That is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in hand. The close call goes back, and the 2 free cards, oh no, you know, the sprint goes back, and 1 free card right there. And with that, right back over to the killer. Oops, my camera getting stuck. I need a dolly track, that's what I need. That would be perfect for this. Next terror card. What's that noise? Let's go and see. If there are no victims, draw the next card. No, there is plenty of victims. All victims move 1 space towards the closest enemy. Ugh. Well, thankfully, Make Out Point is cut off around here, so he has to move here. He moves here. They move down here because there's no conjoining part there. Unfortunately, the 2 that were on me are wandering off down here together to investigate that noise. Then the killer attacks for 1 damage, but there's no one there to die. Then he moves towards the closest victim, and he'll move 2 thanks to that dark power. So he's going 1, 2, hello you, and stabs him to death. So that's Bloodlust up again. When it goes up 1 more time, he starts doing 3 damage. Horror's going to go up again. And then after that, he gets his dark power, which is a special thing. But for now, that's it. Alright, I want to start my next turn by doing a search of the docks. We know what the top card is, but depending on the result, we might get to consider the second card. So, I keep forgetting to put the time back to 6. But we'll be playing the search, and whatever we get is costing us at least 1. We got 1 success. Take the top item card in your space for 1 time. I'll do that, because I think we're going to immediately use it. Because we're in the docks, it is the Lucky Rabbit's Foot. Very important, you don't flip over that next card. You would have to search for it. So the Lucky Rabbit's Foot, discard during the action phase to make a horror roll. And then for each success, you can choose one of the following. I'm just going to do that immediately. I got no successes. Is it discarded afterwards? Yeah. Well, thanks for trying, Lucky Rabbit Foot. Thanks for trying. I guess I could stay here to do another search next turn, is what I could do. Let's try playing a focus, and we'll go from there. So that's to try and bring down the horror level. conditional success. I'll take that. We'll get rid of short rest and weak attack because I'm at full health and I don't want to attack for 1 damage with the chance of being hit back. So we lose 1 time, lower horror level by 1. So it's down to 4 again. And I think I'm just going to stay there because I wanna search for something. From my first game I played, you really need to find a weapon and then just go start wailing on hands while there's still victims he prioritizes. So we ended that with 4. We're going to take the other search for 2. And with 2 more, we'll take a sprint, I guess, just because. Oh, and there's a free walk card there as well, so we'll take that. And then all my other cards go back. Search card, and then 3 free ones go right there. And then back over here. Let me know if you don't mind the moving in camera rather than cutting between scenes. Horrific Hammer Rush. If there's no victims, discard and draw the next card. No, there is victims. So he targets victims, he moves twice, attacks twice. For each victim killed, raise the horror level. Well, I guess if he's split between like options, can something happen? The game tells you to pick one of 3 options and run with it for the game. You can either pick what's worst for you, what's most thematic for the horror movie, or what's funniest. So we'll make him go here with his next move, and he is killing both these victims. It is not going well. That means horror goes up to 6, bloodlust goes up twice, which means it now goes up to 7, so I'm rolling a single die. And we get to flip over his minor dart power. Or sorry, his dart power, which is the lower half of his card right here. Sledgehammer Massacre. For every attack, hand attack you and each victim in his space. So he's just got AoE. He now does AoE for the space he's in. That's not so bad, honestly, considering there's only 3 victims left on the board. But still, not great. Well, to have any chance here, we've got to get down from the horror. So focus to try and get it down. We actually did get a success, so we lower it down. Cost us 1 time, but that's me back to rolling 2 dice for anything else I choose to do this turn, which is very important. Let's try a search. Getting a little bit desperate this early on. Try a search. Conditional success. I'll get rid of 2 walk cards because I have 2 sprints. So I will discard those to take the top item at the cost of 1 time. Oops, as I just moved the entire board. So we don't know what it is. Flashlight. That's not a weapon. Once per action, spend 1 time to look at the top card of the terror deck, leave it in place or put it at the bottom. So that's going to go into my backpack down here. At this late stage I'm not sure that's worth it. Oh, and then we'll play a sprint. We'll play a sprint. A success and a conditional success. I'll just take the success, so 1 time to move 2. We're going to go 1, 2 and get out with both these victims. I'm going to buy myself 2 more time, so that's us back up to 5, and I'm going to move 1 space for free. And the 1 space I'm going to move for free is back to the docks in the hopes of finding a weapon. Because if there's no weapon, I don't have a chance. Hans has 14 HP now, thanks to that Believe Health. Ended my turn with a sprint and a guard in my hand. So we have 5 time to spend. We have a guard. I want to buy a search, so that's 2 done. So we have 3 left, and with 3 I will buy a distraction, which is a chance to get rid of a lot of horror, because I think we need that. And then our cards go back in, our sprint, and search, and then 3 free cards. Oh, speaking of, those free cards come back in my hand. Those ones join the shop, so that's a short rest, weak attack, focus. Now the scary bit, because there's only 1 victim left, so soon he's going to be just coming after me. And he's also running out of terror cards. 3 left, I think. Let's go see if the rumours are true. Place 2 new victims in the space where the killer started. Okay, that might buy us some time. So the killer started... Oh, he's right next to them. Right there. Then the horror level goes back up, so I'm back up to maxed. Then you draw a new event card. So we already did Vengeance and he didn't last very long. Let's Death Wish. Oh, that sounds positive. During the upkeep phase, move the victim closest to the killer 1 space towards it. Do not count victims currently in this space as the killer. Alright, so that's something to do at the very end of turns, which, is right now, in fact. So that was the closest. Oh, come on. So, he really wants to see if the rumours are true. He is now walking onto Hans' space. Right there. Thankfully, his chance to attack this turn is passed, but that's still bad. Well, given I'm down to 1 die again, I have to start with distraction, because even if I fail, I'm still going to lower the horror. I got a conditional success, which would actually buy me 1 time. I'll get rid of a short rest and a weak attack to make that happen, so I gain 1 time going up to 7, and the horror goes down to 6, so we're back to rolling 2 dice for cards. And let's get rid of that. So we actually gained off of that, although it cost me 3 cards. And then we search. We search for a weapon, a good weapon. Oh, 2 successes. Take the top 2 cards of your space and choose one. Place the other on top, face up, or underneath. Okay. So that cost us 1 time. So we're back down to our starting. There is only 2 cards here. Yep. So we found Fireworks and Mysterious Pills. Fireworks is a distraction. Mysterious Pills. Discard during your action phase and choose one of the following. Lower horror or gain 2 health. I'll take the pills and I'll just immediately use them to lower the horror by 1. So we're down to 5 because I need to get that down. Well, that was a bust. There wasn't any weapons. Ugh. I'll try playing a sprint. We need to get to a new location to try and find weapons. Conditional success. Ha. I can also take a failure on that and take damage in order to move. You know what, I'll do that. So we'll do the first failure condition. You get to pick between the 2. So we lose 1 health. We lose 2 time. Ends our turn, but we do get to move 1 space. That's what that X means. You just end the playing cards phase. So we come over here. We have 4 time. These freebies come back. With our 4 time, I will buy a search and both close calls. I've got a feeling I'll need real 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in hand. And then the distraction goes back and the 2 freebies. So first of all we do Hans' turn. So he immediately kills, so they're dead. His Bloodlust. He's now doing 3 damage and moves 2 by default, so it's actually 3 by default thanks to the unholy speed. Then you draw his terror card after he's attacked his base. He's just standing there. Raise the horror level by 2, then he moves twice towards the nearest victim or final girl. Well, he's going to stop once he reaches this victim in his swamp. Horror level goes up by 2, it's right back to 1 die only. I tried so hard to get it back down enough that wouldn't happen. Oh, I'd forgot to put these back in the shop afterwards as well. The sprint I played and the search I played. So they are back in there. They wouldn't have been buyable anyway, so it's not, doesn't matter. And then the Death Wish would kick in. You don't count victims currently with the killer, so he's walking through the lake. Well, actually no, because the lake would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. He would come up here and go there. Well, stop me if you've heard this one before. We're going to try and focus to get the horror level down, so I'm rolling 2 dice. A conditional success, I have to. What can I get rid of? I'll get rid of, or I could close call it, but I'll get rid of I'll get rid of a walk and a close call, I guess. I really don't want to, but I need to bring it down, so I'm getting 2 dice. So 1 time for bringing the horror level down. Then I've got a sprint in here somewhere, right? Oh, I didn't have a sprint. I do have the other walk, though. So walk. 2... Oh, come on. Let's use the close call. I'll spend 2 time to get the full reroll. 1 success, I'll take that. So that's 1 time to move 1 space. Just come over here. And unfortunately, that's really all I can... I might as well play the focus. Try and bring down the horror level. 2 successes, come on. Never mind, it just cost us 2 time, which means we don't have any to spend. So there's no point going over to the shop really. We just get the free cards back, which is a short rest and a weak attack. but then we can just do the killer turn. He kills that victim. Horror level goes back up. He's doing 3 damage, moves 2. We draw the second last terror card, I think. No, this is the last one. You don't trigger the finale until you would have to draw one, and there isn't one, as I understand it. He wants fresh blood. If there's no victims on the board, no, there is. Target the victim, move towards it twice. He's got 6 movement, so he's made it, and he hits them and kills them. There is no victims left on the board. He now does 4 damage and moves 2 plus 1 when he moves. So yeah, I believe, let me just double check, you trigger the finale, yeah, in the upkeep phase if there's no terror cards to draw. Oh wait, that means it will happen now then, because we're going into the upkeep phase. Oh no, we're going to lose badly. He just needs to hit us once now. So that means we flip this card and see his finale stats. So, Bloodbath. His basic movement now, he moves twice and he attacks twice, which means he's moving 4, 5, 6. He's moving 6 and doing 8 damage in total across 2 attacks. We're going to lose. There is no hope. We have been defeated, but let's play on anyway. So unfortunately I've left myself absolutely no movement. I'm going to get rid of a weak attack and a short rest. You can discard cards for time, which would put me up to 8, and that means I have 8 to spend. I'm going to buy 2 sprints for a total of 4. That leaves us with 4, with which I should buy a retaliate, I guess, because we're going to get attacked. Hands is not going to be able to not get us, I think, pretty much. And then we just discard those 2 cards I recycled, and we go to hands, and as I said, so he gets 2 movements as his basic move now, and he's moving 3 for each of them, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I think, unfortunately, oh, well, I do have the retaliate, hang on. I have a retaliate and a guard, so he attacks us once for 4 damage. I'll play retaliate. All those cards should have been put back in the shop. I don't think it's going to matter because I'm pretty sure I'm dead, but just in case, I'm only rolling 1 die. Conditional success. No, I don't need a sprint. I guess I'll get rid of a search as well because this is our chance to try and live. So sure, that means we reduce damage by 2, which means he still hits us for 2, but I deal 1 damage to him. So he would lose 1 on his unholy power, but he hit us for 2. Then he hits us again. I'll try and guard. We did get a success, reduce it by 2, so he still hits us for 2, which would kill us. But this is where the final girl mechanic comes in for both the killer and the hero. This can happen. So we lost that heart. Then we have this one that we randomized. It might say nothing. It might say we come back with 1 health, 2 health, or 3 health. This is us getting 1 last oomph. It also means we get 1 die extra on top of all rolls. Unfortunately though, it is blank, which means the final girl is dead. Just out of curiosity, what would Hans have had? He would have come back on 2 health. Very, very horror villain-esque. So Hans the Butcher is victorious. Laurie is murdered, her body dumped in there, and he just goes off in search for his next victims. It actually went worse than my off-camera test game where I was playing kind of fast. So we managed to do nothing. If we'd found a weapon and started fighting back sooner, I think that would have been the difference maker. I do find Hans just kills people so with the victims, that is, so quickly that it's hard to keep up. So I'm not really sure what the strat is, but that's just something that will come in time. But this was a little test game of Final Girl. We can try maybe Hans in a different location next time, just because I want to try and keep it smooth and easy, because some of the killer's mechanics are a little weird. But if you enjoyed it, do let me know by leaving a comment or just leaving a like so I know that you want more, and we'll give it a go. Apologies for anything done wrong, just keep in mind it was the second time I've ever played the game. Thank you for watching, and ta-ta for now.